Hello and welcome to a new Google Sheets video in Practical Sheets, actually Google Sheets and Google Apps Script. Today we're going to answer a question from one of my Patreons in practicalsheets.com/Patreon. She asks, how can we do a query without the limitations of query? Basically, to sum it up quickly, the limitations of query, it's a reading formula. This means that we cannot do any writing on it, and we cannot add any columns on it because we have the big risk of damaging the information. I'll show you very quickly. Here I have a query. With query, if you don't know what this is, it's a very complex formula that will allow us to filter or even to group our information, very similar to a pivot table. So the bad thing about query is that given that it's a matrix formula, if I write something here, it will damage it. And if I have some comments and for any reason the query changes, the filter, the order, then these comments will be misplaced in a row that is not. Okay, so I'm going to show you a code so you can have the power of query, but also as if you were going to write it. So this will be as values, and then if you try to change anything, nothing will happen. With just a button, we will be able to do this. So I hope you like it. If you want to download the code and the formulas and everything, you just go to the Patreon page and there you'll find it, and you can ask me anything about this and more than 150 videos. If not, just a comment or subscribing to the channel helps a lot. Thank you so much, especially to my Patreons. Let's begin. So today we're going to see two ways in which we could use the functionalities of query, but without some of its limitations. Let's see query in action. Maybe you've seen it in other videos, but just quickly to show you the benefits and the disadvantages or the limitations that this function has. So I have basic data here. Then I'm going to query and to the query sheet, and I'm going to call my query function. Before that, I'm going to give it a bit of zoom so you can see better, distraction free. And now let's do query, then go to our data sheet. I'm going to select all of my data starting in the first row, and we could finish in the last row that exists, or just close it with a number if you prefer. And the benefits, I'm not going to go deeply into the query function. We could dedicate hours talking about query, but the main benefits is that we can easily filter rows by condition, hide or show only the columns I want. We could sort. We could also remove some rows at the end or at the beginning. I could have set it, or I could limit it to just the first 10 or the first 20. And we could use very complicated filters, multi-criteria filters. For example, I want this date to be from one date to another, and then just this product, and then just quantity greater than 10. I just realized that this is in Spanish. I'll change it to English in a while. So for now, let's leave it like it is, and if I just do this, I'll have an exact copy of my data. I'm going to change the headers real quick. I'm going to change this for Spanish, and then in my query I have it also in Spanish. This is one of the advantages. Being a formula, it updates immediately once I have any change in my data. The main disadvantage of this is that this is a consultation, a reading formula or a consult formula. What does this mean? That this is only for reading. But if, for example, I bring something here and then I say, hey, but this is not right. The quantity here is not 5, is 12, whatever. And I hit enter, it will damage or break the formula, because this is what is called a matrix type formula or an array formula. This means that even though I write the formula only in A1, this will spread out however many rows or columns the query function dictates. In this case, if I remove this, it will spread for 5 columns and 21 rows. Okay? So this is the first problem with it. The second problem or limitation is that, for example, let's say I want to have a comment section. And here I will say, hey, we need to check this. And then for any reason, if I go here to data and sort this differently, please notice that this is product A with total sales 150, okay? And let's change this with a filter very quickly and sort this from Z to A, and then I'll go to query, and now this is not product A, it's product B, and this is not total sales 150, but total sales 200. However, the comment stays the same, so it has misplaced the comment. So this damages my data. So this is something that a lot of you want to do to enjoy the advantages of query. And I haven't showed them to you yet, but if you're seeing this video, probably you already know, but let's do it quickly. Let's say that I'm going to filter just product A using this where clause. So I'm going to say that where the column B, or column 2 actually, equals to, let's remove this, equals to, in single quotation marks, product A. Close my single quotation, close my double quotation, hit enter, and now I only have my product A. And let's say I want to order this by date or by sales. So here in my same query function, I will say order by column 5, descending. And let's say I only want to see the first 5. So here, after the order by, I'm going to use the clause limit, and I'm going to limit to only 5. And let's say I don't want to show the quantity and the unit price. So here, before my where clause, I could say select, and let's just select call 1, and then call 2, and then call 5. So very easily, this is the power or the advantage query function. I could very quickly do precise filters and hiding columns, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, because I could also group by product A, or almost as like a pivot table. However, we have this problem. So how could we use Google Apps Script to help us take advantage of the query function, but without its limitations? I can see 2 ways, maybe there are more. The first one is to put our query function with code. Just take this function and paste it, and then paste it as values. So we could do a button that just creates the query function, but at the same time or immediately after it creates the query function, it copies the values and pastes them. This is a thing we could do manually. We could copy this and then Ctrl-Shift-V and paste it as values. This is a very basic behavior that we could do even with a macro. So let's try to do it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this. Actually, I'm going to copy this formula. I'm going to delete this. Let's delete this also. Let's go to our menu. We're going to say data. Sorry, let's go to stand here in A1. We're going to go to extensions, then macros, then record macro. The macro is already recording. We are going to use, in this case, absolute references works just fine. And let's start. We're going to stand on A1. We're going to paste the formula. We're going to hit enter. We're going to copy, but we're going to copy in a special way. We're going to stand on A1. We're going to hit Ctrl-Shift down and then Ctrl-Shift right. We're going to copy, Ctrl-C, then we're going to paste as values, Ctrl-Shift-V. Okay, let's save the macro. This is all we needed. Let's call this paste query as values. Let's save it. Let's edit our script. And let's see what it is doing. So the first thing, it's defining the active spreadsheet. Then it's going to cell A1. Perfect. Then it will go to this cell A1 and set the formula. Actually, I don't need to go to do all of this. I could remove these 3 because once I get the get range, I could do the set formula immediately. I don't need to activate it. Let's set the formula. Actually, I'm going to take this spreadsheet get range and store it as a variable called formula cell. This means the cell where I'm going to paste my formula. So actually I don't need this line, and I don't need these 2 lines, and I don't need this other line. So basically what I'm doing here is, and actually I do need another line, is formula cell dot activate. This means that it's like if the user was selecting the cell, and then standing in A1, I'm going to go to down as I did here, Control Shift down. Remember, this is the same behavior, Control Shift down and then Control Shift right. And then finally, I'm going to copy this. So now we have this selection. What I want to do is, unfortunately, I cannot do get selection here. I need to get the range in some way. Here it did it A1 C6 would be this. It would be this. However, not always this range will be A1 C6. So I'm going to change how I build this get range. I'm going to say that I'm going to start on column 1, on row 1 and column 1, and then I'm going to go to spreadsheet dot get last row, and then we'll do spreadsheet dot get last column. Let's try it out. Extensions, macro, base query as values. So we're going to try to do this with a code. I tried to do it with macros in some tests, but it was a disaster. So I prefer to do it from scratch. It's a good practice to work with the macros of Excel and then repurposing it. But I think sometimes it requires further knowledge as when you have a broken code and you have to fix it. You need to have a bit more of knowledge than when you start a code from scratch sometimes. So let's do it ourselves. Let's go to AppScript. We're going to create a function called paste query as values. Actually, I'm going to share with you a neat trick, is that we're going to record a macro, but actually I don't need the macro. I could paste anything here. We're going to save it and call this paste query as values, and maybe give it a shortcut here. Let's save. Why do I do this? I don't care about the code. I just want, and now let's go to edit script. Why did I do that? Let's go to this macros.js. Maybe I can remove this code if you had it. Actually, I don't need any of this. I'm going to start from 0. But the nice thing is that here in extensions macro, now I'm going to have this easy access to the formula, and I don't need to do an extra menu and all that. So it's just a quick shortcut to doing a menu of your own. So what we're going to do, we're going to connect very quickly to our spreadsheet and then to our sheet. So let's call this worksheet, sometimes it's called, and then let's call this spreadsheet, and it will be our worksheet, and then get sheet by name, and we're going to use this one that is called query inside quotation marks. Okay, now what we're going to do is just copy this. I'm going to delete this. We're going to copy this and then paste it as value. That's it. There are a couple of ways we can paste it as value. Let's try one out. So we're going to do ss get data range, and let's name this range to copy. Now we're going to define the range to paste. in reality, the range to copy and the range to paste will be the same. So we're going to do range to copy dot copy to, and the destination will be the same range to copy. Let's see if this works. We're going to do a comma and then paste as values. We could do this on a couple of ways. Let's put this lower so you can see the help that AppScript gives us. We could use this spreadsheet app dot copy paste type paste values, comma false. This is what we're going to use. And let's see if it works. This basically is just a very basic code to copy a formula and convert it to values. Let's see if it works. Let's run it. Let's give it some permissions. Choose our account, go to advanced, and click in go to recorded macros and allow. Let's go here and you can see that now I don't have my formula. Okay, so this works really nice the first time, but then my formula is lost. So I'm missing a thing. The thing I'm missing is that I'm going to go back, Control Z or undo, and we're going to copy this formula. And before doing this, I'm going to the cell A1, get range A1, and I'm going to set a formula. And the formula I'm going to set is this one. Okay, here I need to fix it a bit. There are a couple of ways we could fix it. Instead of double quotation marks, we could have simple quotation marks, but still I need here my simple quotations. I could bypass this with this slash, front slash, and now what it will do two steps. The first step is to put the formula of the query, and the second one is to remove this formula and paste it as values. Let's see it in action. And for knowing that this will work, I'm going to change this product A here. The product A that has 90, I'm going to change this for 900. Okay, let's test it. And let's go here, and now it's updated, but it's values. And now you could easily have comments and all that, and you don't have to be afraid that if someone changes something in data, this will change. You need just to be careful that if you update it here in extensions, macro, and then you run it again, then this will update as a normal query function, and these comments will change. So then maybe we need another code just to update row by row, but I think that's a little bit too much. What is the downside of this method? Is that you have this query function, and you need to change. If you want to change anything about the query function, then you need to do it here, and it's maybe not so nice. So my proposal is that we have another sheet that is called query backup, or you can call it however you want. And I'm going to do control, and we're going to paste my formula again here. So here I'll have my formula, and if you want to change your formula, then you change it here. And what we're going to do in our macro is that instead of setting the formula manually, we're going to go to this query backup, copy the formula, and then paste it here. So for this, we're going to define another SS. Let's call this temp SS, and this will be ws.getSheetByName, and this will be query backup. Whoever can tell me, well, query backup, and then our temp SS, very similar to the line below. We're going to do get range A1, but instead of setting a formula, I'm going to get a formula, and I'm going to store it in a formula value variable. And then instead of having to do all of this, we're going to set this formula. Okay, let's save it and let's try it out. So let's change something in our query. Let's do this. Let's put again the column 3, for example. Okay. And let's go to macros and run it. Why does this have a problem? Because I had a value here. So the first thing we would need to do in this case is to delete everything. So again, you need to be very careful if you have comments or you had added things again, you should do a backup or something because it will delete all of that. This is the downside, okay? So before setting the formula, I'm going to do ss.getRange, actually get data range, and we're going to do clear content. Save it, and let's put this comment again, and let's try it out one more time. So it will first delete whatever it has here, and then it will paste exactly what I have in my query backup. So this is the query as you had it before, and this will be the sheet where it will paste it as value immediately. So then you can do whatever you need to do, add things, change the format and all that. Again, being very careful that if you run it again, it will replace it. Okay, this is it. This, I forgot, as I told you at the beginning, this was a request from a Patreon in Practical Sheets Patreon. So if you want me to do a specific video for one of your specific cases, please make sure to go to the Patreon page where you can also download these and more than 150 templates from all the videos in the YouTube channel, and you can ask me anything about them, and you can request special videos such as this one that if I'm able to, of course, I'll put them with priority in the queue. Thank you so much, especially to my Patreons, and see you next time.